Our 8th anniversary. 8 years of laughter, arguments, compromises, lies, and apparently, more lies than I'd ever suspected. Claire suggested we celebrate it somewhere special. Her word, not mine. Said we needed time away from the city, from work, from stress. We were halfway there. Me driving, Claire humming along to some song from her college playlist, and Lily in the back seat quietly coloring in her sketchbook. Always the quiet one. Observant. Too observant, sometimes. She leaned forward between the seats when her mother stepped out at a rest stop to grab snacks. "Dad?" she whispered, her little fingers pressing a folded note into my palm. "Be careful." I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at her, at those wide brown eyes that had inherited all their softness from her and none of the deceit. She didn't look scared, more like tired. Like she'd been carrying something too heavy for someone that young. Claire came back with a bag of trail mix and 2 iced coffees, completely oblivious. I forced a smile and took the drink, slipped the note into my jacket pocket without a word. 10 minutes later, I made up some excuse about the coffee hitting me hard. "Too much caffeine," I said, pulling off at a dusty gas station nestled between pines. "Gotta hit the restroom." Claire offered to pump the gas. "We'll be quick," she called out to Lily. Lily didn't get out. She waited until Claire stepped around the car, then quickly followed me toward the restrooms, clutching something in her sweatshirt pocket like a stolen gem. Once inside, with the door locked and the faint hum of a flickering light above us, she handed it to me. A second phone. Claire's phone, but not the one she always carried. This one had no case, no background photo of us at Disney, no family group chats. Just a black screen and a few fingerprints she hadn't wiped clean. "I saw her hide it in the back pocket of her gym bag," Lily said quietly. "I didn't want to tell you at first. God, she was just a kid. A kid trying to protect her dad." I powered it on. No password. The screen blinked to life, and everything in me started to curdle. There they were. Messages. Dozens. All from a number saved as J. "Can't wait to see you again. That dress last time. Still thinking about it. He suspects anything yet? Rooms booked. Same place. I want you screaming this time." I couldn't breathe. My mouth went dry. I just kept scrolling. Picture after picture, nothing graphic, but intimate enough to make me feel like I was eavesdropping on a world I never belonged in. Her in that dress, she told me, was for our anniversary. Him shirtless, tattooed, leaning back on a hotel bed like he owned the air she breathed. My grip tightened around the phone. I wanted to shatter it against the wall, but I didn't. Instead, I looked down at my daughter. My reason for not combusting on the spot. "Does she know you took it?" I asked. Lily shook her head. "No. I was careful." I nodded, knees locking, jaw clenched so tight I felt my molars grind. "You did good. That cabin trip, it wasn't a romantic getaway. It was an ambush." I didn't know the full details yet, but my gut already whispered it. She wasn't taking me there to reconnect. She was taking me there to finish what she started. Maybe not with violence, but emotionally, financially, legally. She wanted me isolated. Too bad for her. I was no longer the man she thought she married. I stepped out of that restroom not as a man going on a trip with his wife. No, that version of me had been left behind somewhere between the parking lot and the truth. Now I was a quiet storm. Controlled. Cold. Claire didn't suspect a thing when I got back in the car. She handed me a protein bar and said, "You took forever. Should have let me go in first." I just smiled. Had to check the plumbing. Cabin life's gonna be rough without indoor plumbing, right? She laughed. Too loud. Too fake. And that sound, it wasn't laughter anymore. It was the rattling of a snake. We drove another hour through winding roads that cut through pine forests so dense they swallowed cell signals whole. She had picked this cabin for a reason. No neighbors for miles. No surveillance. No signals. But what she didn't know, what she never even thought to ask, was that I kept an offline GPS and a solar power bank in the glove compartment. Habit from my hiking days. I wasn't the fool she thought I was. I watched her closely as we pulled into the gravel drive. The cabin looked the same as I remembered. Timber logs, moss-covered shingles, that creaky porch that once felt like a second home. Only now, it felt like a setup. Claire stepped out of the car with exaggerated grace, stretching like some Instagram model, arms high, spine arched. "We made it," she called out, like we were still the happy couple she'd once pretended to love. "I'll get the bags. Why don't you two start unpacking?" But I was watching her eyes. They darted toward the forest line. A flicker of anticipation. A signal. Someone was out there, and I was supposed to be too blind to notice. She vanished into the cabin while I opened the trunk, made sure Lily had her backpack, and stayed close. I crouched beside her. "You still have the phone?" I whispered. She nodded, eyes wide, nervous. She was trying to be brave, but she was scared. I could see it. "Good. Don't tell Mom." "Not yet." Inside, the place looked exactly like it did when her parents used to drag us up here for holidays. Stone fireplace, antler chandelier, too many plaid throw pillows. But now it all felt like stage dressing. A theater set built for betrayal. Claire busied herself lighting candles, humming something tuneless, setting wine glasses down on the table. There were steaks thawing on the counter. She even brought her old wedding playlist on a Bluetooth speaker. "Romantic, right?" she said, brushing past me, letting her hand graze my shoulder. I wanted to grab that hand and hurl it across the room. Instead, I said, "Yeah, almost like you planned this months ago." She froze for half a second, just enough. "What do you mean?" "Just that it's nice. You put in a lot of effort." She smiled, but her eyes didn't. Of course, I wanted it to be perfect. I wondered if perfect meant me finding that phone in a lake by morning. Or maybe a confrontation that would make me seem unhinged useful if she was setting the groundwork for a custody case. "You still bringing in your gym bag?" I asked casually. Her smile twitched. "No, just clothes." "Shame," I said. "You always used to keep everything in there." I watched her blink. She turned toward the fireplace. "We'll unpack later. Let's just enjoy tonight." Tonight. There was too much weight in that word. That evening, I made dinner. Yeah, me. Cooked the steaks. Set the table. Played along. Claire clinked her wine glass against mine and said, "To 8 years." I clinked it back. "To 8 years, and surprises." She sipped her wine too fast. I could see her trying to study me without looking like she was studying me. And me? I smiled, polite and easy. But inside, I was already planning the next step. Because when someone brings you to the woods to bury a secret, they never expect the one holding the shovel to dig for answers instead. She went to bed early. Said the wine hit her faster than she expected. "I'll light some candles upstairs. Join me when you're ready," she purred, like a line rehearsed in front of a mirror. I watched her hips sway as she ascended the stairs, every move calculated for the man she thought I still was. Gullible. Distracted. Devoted. She still hadn't noticed her second phone was missing. I let the silence settle after she disappeared. The fireplace crackled, the shadows danced, and I just sat there glass in hand, heart pounding slow and steady like war drums in a tunnel. Then I checked it again. The messages. From Jay. Only this time, there was a new one. "I'll be there by 3 a.m. Leave the back door open." I stared at the screen, numb but focused. Like a sniper watching through the scope, waiting for the moment to pull the trigger. Not in violence, but in precision. They were bold, I'll give them that. Or maybe just stupid. She thought I wouldn't wake, that I'd be lost in wine and illusion. But the only thing I was lost in now was calculation. She didn't love Jay. I could tell that much from the texts. He was a utility, an escape hatch from our marriage. She played sweet, sure. Told him he made her feel alive, said our daughter wouldn't be a problem. But I read between the lines. She wasn't planning a new life with him. She was planning a controlled exit, one that ended with her on top. I tucked the burner phone under the floorboard near the couch, just in case. Then I grabbed my backup phone, Lily's old tablet with a camera. I turned it on, positioned it to face the back door. Hit record. Let her have her performance. I wasn't just collecting evidence now. I was building my own story. "Dad, be careful." Lily's words echoed in my mind. So I checked on her. She was asleep in the small bedroom off the kitchen, curled up in a sleeping bag, her teddy bear's ear poking out. I sat beside her for a while, watched her chest rise and fall, steady as mountain winds. I whispered, "You're braver than you know." And then, the boards creaked upstairs. She was pacing. Nervous? Excited? She'd probably told him I'd be out cold. Maybe she'd even planned to slip something into my drink, an old trick she used to joke about with her girlfriends when they talked about keeping a man in line. "Joke's on you, Claire." I slept with one eye open. My watch glowed 2:59 a.m. when I heard it. Click. The back door. Footsteps on the kitchen tile. Then a whisper. "Claire." I lay still. Listened. She was already coming down the stairs in a robe, barefoot, whispering too. "Keep it down. She's upstairs." "She. Our daughter," she snapped. "He's out cold. Don't wake him." He chuckled. Arrogant. Confident. He didn't know I was lying just feet away on the couch. I heard a kiss. Then another. I felt bile rise in my throat but swallowed it down with the kind of calm only betrayal can teach. Then Claire said something that made my blood run ice cold. "I'll be a widow by next week." He laughed, like she'd told a joke over brunch. And then she added, "The cabin's the trial run. If he can't survive out here without falling off a cliff or wandering off into the dark, well, who could blame me?" A pause. Silence thick enough to strangle. And then, "I'm just saying," she whispered, "he's been depressed for months. Working too much. Maybe he snapped. The woods are unpredictable." I didn't hear anything else. Not because they stopped talking, but because my mind had already jumped 10 steps ahead. She wasn't just cheating. She was staging my disappearance. I stayed frozen under the blanket, breathing shallow, listening as their whispers dissolved into low, urgent murmurs against the kitchen counter. They were planning it. Claire, the woman I'd built a life with, the mother of my daughter, planning to erase me like a typo on a grocery list. And Jay, her secret lover? He was laughing along like it was a prank, like I wasn't a human being but a roadblock they just needed to gently remove. She thought I'd stumble into the woods, fall into a ravine, maybe drink a little too much wine, slip and crack my head open. A tragic accident. No mess, no fuss, no need for a messy divorce where she'd lose custody or fight for the house. She'd get sympathy, insurance payouts, my pension, full custody of Lily. The whole show. Problem was, I don't die easy, and I sure as hell don't go quietly. I waited until they disappeared upstairs, heard the dull thud of footsteps and the telltale creak of the bedroom door shutting, and then I moved. Slow. Silent. Predator silent. The tablet was still recording, angled perfectly at the back door. Good. I tucked it under the couch cushions, out of sight but still capturing every sick little whisper. I took inventory in my head. No cell service. No neighbors. No backup. But I wasn't helpless. The solar charger meant I could power devices if needed. And better yet, I still had the hidden compartment in the truck where I kept my emergency supplies from back when I used to hike the Rockies: flare gun, emergency radio, water purifiers, a collapsible baton. Funny how she forgot who she married. I wasn't the type of man you corner like a deer and expect to run. I tucked Lily's sleeping bag tighter around her, kissed her forehead. Then I slipped outside into the chill night air. The cabin stood like a beast behind me, dark and hulking against the scattered stars. I crossed the gravel drive barefoot, silent, and reached the truck. Opened the secret panel behind the back seat. There they were, my insurance policies. I stuffed the baton into my belt. Grabbed the flare gun too, not to use on them, not yet, but in case things went sideways and I needed a distraction. My mind raced. If they were planning to stage an accident, I needed to flip the script. Make them look like the ones who cracked under pressure. Make her the unstable one. Because you don't win by fighting back where they expect you. You win by making them tear themselves apart. And I had just the plan. Step 1. Let her think the trap was still working. Let her lead me right into the accident. Smile. Play dumb. Let her believe I was still the same clueless idiot. And then, watch her destroy herself. Morning came wrapped in fog. Claire was already up when I walked into the kitchen. She had the nerve to hum as she flipped pancakes, acting like she hadn't just plotted my death 12 hours ago with some sleazy, cologne-soaked side piece. "Sleep okay?" she asked without looking at me. "Like the dead?" I said. She paused, just for a heartbeat, then gave a soft chuckle. "That good, huh?" I nodded and took my seat at the table. Lily sat across from me, coloring again, same little bear clutched under her elbow. I caught her eye for a moment and gave a tiny nod. She didn't smile. She just kept coloring. That kid's got more steel in her spine than most grown men I've worked with. Claire placed a plate in front of me like she wasn't a rattlesnake in yoga pants. "We should hike later. You and me. Maybe just the two of us. Let Lily relax around the cabin." "Hike," I repeated. "Yeah," she said. "Clear our heads. Talk. It'll be good for us." Translation: "Let's go find a cliff." I sipped my coffee, glanced toward the back window. The trees were thick out there. Perfect place to lose someone. Or push them. "Sure," I said. "Sounds great." She smiled too wide. "I'll pack a light lunch." While she was in the pantry, I checked my watch. I'd sync the tablet to start uploading once it hit a connection. That solar pack I set up near the truck was running fine. It was a waiting game now. But in the meantime, I needed her to think she still had control. Before we left, I stepped onto the porch and crouched beside Lily. "You okay here?" I asked. She nodded, never looking up from her drawing. Are you? That cracked me right there. That quiet question, asked so gently it nearly undid the wall I'd bricked up around my heart. I will be, I told her. Claire stepped out in a tight workout top and yoga pants like we were heading to a juice bar, not a crime scene. Her pack slung over one shoulder. Hair pulled back in that casual, messy way she knew made her look younger. Like innocence wrapped in athletic gear. You ready? She asked, like she hadn't just sharpened her metaphorical knife. Lead the way. We started into the woods, just the two of us. The silence grew heavier the deeper we walked. Birds stopped singing. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Finally, she spoke. I'm glad we're doing this. I think we need to reconnect. You've been distant. Oh, I'm definitely reconnecting, I said. She looked over her shoulder, eyes narrowing for a flicker of a second. What's that supposed to mean? I shrugged. Just feels like we're finally getting honest. She stopped walking, turned to face me. Is something going on? Why would you ask that? I don't know. You've been acting weird lately. Distant. Quiet. I gave her the kind of smile a man gives right before lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. Maybe I'm just thinking about everything I've lost, I said. Or maybe I'm thinking about what I'm about to gain. She blinked. What does that mean? But I just kept walking. Let her wonder. Let her stew in it. Because if she wanted to play games in the woods, I was going to play a better one that left her begging for mercy without ever laying a finger on her. The trail narrowed as we walked. Dirt shifted underfoot, pine needles crunching in the hush between us. Claire kept glancing back like she was checking to see if I was still following, or maybe making sure I didn't suddenly catch on and bolt. As if I hadn't known from the first mile that this wasn't a hike. This was an execution. Almost there, she said, voice too bright. I nodded, falling a few paces behind her on purpose, letting her get comfortable, letting her think the leash was still wrapped tight around my neck. We broke through the tree line onto a rocky overlook. Below us? A ravine, steep and deep, dotted with jagged rocks and broken branches like crooked fingers reaching for the sky. She turned to me, that fake sweet smile plastered on like a bad actress in a school play. Isn't it beautiful? She asked, stepping dangerously close to the edge. I moved slower, studied the ground. Loose rocks, damp patches of soil. It wouldn't take much. One bad step, one bad push, one perfectly tragic accident. She extended a hand to me. Come here. Let's take a picture. I want to remember this. Yeah, I bet you do. I stepped forward, careful, casual. She shifted slightly, positioning herself so my back would be to the edge. My heart pounded. Not from fear. From rage. Cold, razor-sharp rage. But my face? Calm. Blank. The face of a man who still loved his wife enough to trust her with his life. I took her hand. She squeezed it. Harder than necessary. Like she was psyching herself up. And then, her foot slipped. Or at least that's what it would have looked like if anyone had been watching. Her body jerked forward. The pressure on my hand changed, became a pull. She wasn't slipping. She was yanking. She was trying to pull me off balance. To send me tumbling over the cliff. But I was ready. I pivoted my weight, used her own momentum against her, twisted our hands so she stumbled sideways instead of pulling me backward. She yelped sharp, startled. Nearly went over herself. I grabbed her wrist and yanked her back. Pulled her so close I could feel her heart slamming against her ribs. Our faces inches apart. She looked up at me, wide-eyed, trembling. And for the first time since we started this sick game, I let her see it. The truth. The dead, ice-cold fury burning behind my eyes. You okay, sweetheart? I asked, my voice so calm it should have chilled her blood. I slipped, she stammered, voice shaking. Of course you did, I said, releasing her wrist. She stumbled back, brushing herself off, trying to recover, trying to figure out if I knew, if I suspected, if she still had the upper hand. She didn't. Not anymore. We stood there for another minute, the wind tugging at our clothes, the gaping maw of the ravine yawning below us. And then I said, let's head back. Wouldn't want to get lost out here. She nodded mutely, falling into step behind me this time. Yeah, that's right. You follow me now. All the way back to the stage I built for you. Where every lie, every whisper, every betrayal was already waiting to rip your world apart. We didn't speak on the walk back. Not one word. Claire kept a few steps behind me, silent but restless. I could almost hear the gears grinding in her head, trying to recalculate her plan now that the accident hadn't gone the way she rehearsed in that pretty little skull of hers. When we got back to the cabin, Lily was sitting on the porch swing, her backpack beside her, still coloring. When she saw us, she didn't run up, didn't shout, just gave me a single, tiny nod. "We're still good," it said. Claire disappeared inside, probably to regroup. Maybe text Jay and whine that plan A didn't work, and they needed a new angle. I took my time on the porch, sitting beside Lily. She slipped the burner phone into my hand without a word. I checked it. New message. "You sure he's alone? You sure the kid won't get in the way?" No name. Just the same old Jay. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. Good. The stupider they got, the easier this would be. "Lily," I said, keeping my voice low, steady, normal, "grab your stuff. Just the important things." Quietly. "We're leaving soon." She didn't argue. Didn't even ask where. She just nodded and went inside, calm and focused like we'd practiced it 1,000 times. Meanwhile, I started phase 2. I made a show of being casual, poking at the grill, whistling. I even set up the old fire bit like I was planning to roast marshmallows later. But while Claire was upstairs, probably plotting how to slip a little something into my dinner, I was busy outside. I popped the hood of my truck, disconnected the battery just enough to make it look like it had accidentally died overnight. Then I scattered a few of our bags on the back porch like we were settling in for a long, cozy weekend. No one would think we left in a hurry. No one would think we ran. That mattered for later. By the time night rolled in, thick and heavy and stinking of rain, I had everything set. Dinner was a silent affair. Claire barely touched her plate. Neither did I. We played house, the three of us. Silent and broken. Lily didn't say a word. She knew this wasn't real. She knew it was almost time. After dinner, Claire said she was tired and went upstairs early again. No attempt to seduce me this time. No fake smiles. She knew something had shifted. She just didn't know how badly she'd already lost. And when I heard the faint creak of the back door at 2:45 a.m., right on schedule, I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I was ready. Ready to burn the whole rotten stage down around them and walk away with the only thing that mattered, my daughter. The back door creaked again. Soft, careful footsteps. I stayed still on the couch, blankets pulled up to my chest like I was deep in sleep, my breathing slow and even. Through barely cracked eyelids, I caught him. Jay. Exactly how I pictured him from the texts, tall, tattooed, that smug, cocky swagger of a man who thought he was the hunter instead of the bait. He slipped inside, closing the door behind him without a sound. Looked around once. Then headed straight for the stairs where Claire was supposedly waiting. I pulled the tablet from under the couch, still recording, and slipped it into my backpack along with Claire's burner phone. Evidence. All of it. Enough to make sure there would never be a custody battle. Never a court hearing. Never a dime handed over to her. And the whole time, I just sat there in that dusty ranger's hut, arm wrapped around my daughter, watching it all unfold like a director admiring the final act of a play.